You're at 109 right now. You're at 109 right now.
Hey everybody, welcome to the iSee109 podcast. I'm your host Larry Wiggs, and I'm rocking my Howard University sweatshirt. I've been rocking it quite often in between washes, so let's be very clear, okay? Wash it and wear it, all right? Um, I want to address this. The reason why I turned the camera on and set everything up is to talk about this sweatshirt, you know, because there's like an idea that if you're wearing something and you're representing it, that it's a part of you somehow. So I remember I was wearing this sweatshirt months ago. I was walking into a restaurant and a woman saw my shirt and asked me, "Did you attend?" Or she said, "Did you go to Howard?" And I knew she was asking me, "Did you graduate from Howard? Did you attend the school? Were you a student there, etc.?" Like there was so much baked into the question that she asked me. Um, I knew what she was asking me, and beyond what she was asking me specifically about the school and if I had attended the school, she was asking me, you know, whether she should respect me, right? She was gauging the level of respect that she should give me. Because if I had said yes, I attended Howard University, I graduated with honors and, yada, 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 she probably would have said, "Oh, okay, well, I have family and friends," and she would probably would have gone into something, you know. But I told her, I was honest with her. I said, no, I did not attend. I said, um, well, I don't recall exactly what I said. I don't recall if I had told her no, but my brother-in-law graduated from, Howard University. So I don't recall what I said. I know that in other situations where people have asked me about this sweatshirt, I've told them my brother-in-law attended Howard University and that I didn't. So, um, so that was the situation. The lady asked me about the sweatshirt. That was just one instance, but I know that when someone asks me that question, they're gauging how much they should respect me, based upon my answer. Oh, he's just wearing that shirt just because he's a wannabe. He, whatever. Oh, he didn't go to that school. He's nothing. There's all of this baked into the questioning, the line of questioning. Because when people see me, they ask, and usually I'll give them the answer. They'll ask me, "Did you go to Howard University?" And I'll say, "Yes, I went to Howard, and I bought this sweatshirt. I went there to buy this sweatshirt. I went there and I bought this sweatshirt." Because I mean, I did go to Howard University to buy this sweatshirt. I sure did. But anyway, people want to know if I studied at Howard. But beyond all of the semantics, the political wrangling baked into the question and answer, process, um, I will say that I am proud to wear this sweatshirt based upon um, my recent experience, my recent history with Howard University. Not as a student, okay, or maybe so. Here's why I say that. I say my recent experiences first because prior to 2018, prior to 2018, I would not. No, let's go even back farther. 1997 and 2004. 1997, I graduated from high school. 2004, I graduated from undergrad. All right. Between those years or around those times, I would not have worn any other school's jersey, sweatshirt, or what have you, especially if I wasn't a fan of their sports team or if I did not attend that university, because I felt as if I was betraying myself or betraying the social contract. If you wear that, then you are telling the world that you were a student there. And if I put on that jersey or that sweatshirt or something, then I'd be communicating that, I felt this way. This is how I felt. I felt as if I was communicating that I attended that school or I graduated from that school. Nothing could be further from the truth, because there are plenty of people who wear school, shirts in support of that school for various reasons, whether it says, you know, so and so school's dad or mom, proud alumni, or proud father, proud mother, or whatever their affiliation. You can, by all means, anyone can wear whatever they want to wear. But I just felt as if I was betraying that that understanding. Oh, if you wear that, maybe he attended that school. Probably he attended that school, so that's why he's wearing it. So I didn't want to confuse people. I didn't want to misrepresent myself, so I just stayed away from wearing jerseys, sweatshirts, attire affiliated with a school that I did not attend, right? But these days, I did not attend Howard University, but I'm proud to wear this sweatshirt, and I'll explain why. That's why I'm making this video, because yeah, years ago I would not have worn Howard stuff because I wasn't a Howard student. But here's the thing. In 2018, no. Well, in 2018 there was a video recorded. Nick Cannon was attending Howard University at the time, and he wore this sweatshirt. Maybe not this exact one. I think his said alumni or Howard on the sleeve. On the sleeve, it said Howard just like these colors, but his said alumni on the sleeve. I think it was. Anyhow, he wore that sweatshirt and he interviewed. I believe he's the dean of Africana Studies, Dr. Greg Carr, for the Nick Cannon's class, which was filmed there at Howard University. I saw the sweatshirt. Nick Cannon wore it. But more importantly than the sweatshirt, he interviewed Dr. Greg Carr. They had a great conversation, and I learned a lot and gained a great respect and admiration for Dr. Greg Carr. I thought, man, he's a very cool, down-to-earth professor. I guess I was just receptive to the message that he was sending at that time when I watched that interview. One thing that stood out, Dr. Carr said, that when we are matriculating through our education systems in America, we are presented with this idea that Europe is better, somehow better, or that Europe is on top of the world. And Dr. Greg Carr said, the world is round. There is no top, there is no bottom. So this idea that, one thing is on top, doesn't fly. And I could absolutely agree with what he said. What his message resonated with me deeply, because I thought, man, that makes so much sense. It's just plainly spoken by him, and it was such a great interaction between the two, Nick Cannon and Dr. Greg Carr, that it was just like, it was very entertaining but enlightening at the same time. It was like, yeah, that's what I needed, just a breath of fresh air, because I would think that as a student you're bombarded with so many ideals, so many texts that you have to read, that a simple message like the one that Dr. Greg Carr presented sort of gets lost in all of that. Before you can arrive at that conclusion, look, the world is round, no one's on top. Before you can get to all that, you've got to read Carter G. Woodson, Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, Frederick Douglass, and the list goes on and on and on. You have to get through all of that. So um, yeah, but just watching that interview and hearing them speak, it was just very natural and very cool. So I gained a lot of respect, and I thought, man, I want to hear more from Dr. Greg Carr. You know, that was my introduction to him, period, right? So thereafter, 2019, he dropped some gems in that conversation. So thereafter, I was aware of him, and then the pandemic hit, and I found myself watching the Dr. Karen Hunter, excuse me, if she's not a doctor, um, I think Dr. Greg Carr calls her professor. So Professor Karen Hunter. So Karen Hunter and Dr. Greg Carr have their shows, and they've had YouTube, um, you know, broadcast podcasts that they've shown on a weekly basis every Saturday on YouTube. And I tapped in during the pandemic. And the things that Dr. Greg Carr said, I think in the very first, if not the first or the second episode that I ever watched, it resonated. What what messages what he said resonated deeply with me because I was receptive to what he was saying at that time. I think it's because of all of my travels. He was just speaking extemporaneously, and he was like a jazz musician because he was speaking and he was hitting certain notes. He was just riffing. That's what I call it. He was just riffing, da 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 da, talking about this and talking about that, and talking about historic events and talking about the present, talking about this scholar and this intellectual and this freedom fighter and da 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 da. You know, and then he had a number of books, so he would grab a book off of the shelf and then he would just start talking and then tell you, oh look, and this is what I was talking about. Oh, I didn't even plan this. Here I am. I found this passage in this book. I remember this is what he said. He recalled this passage in this book. He remembers where it was, and it was jazz, right? But during the presentation, he was referring to things that became a part of who I am because of my travels. And I knew he was speaking from a place of knowledge and intellect, but I could understand and relate to him because I had I was listening from a place of memory, you know, throughout from my travels. So he would talk about Ethiopia, and I was like, yo, he knows. He knows about that subject that I just recently learned about while I was traveling. But he's referencing Ethiopia, or he's talking about Egypt. I've been to Egypt. I know what he's talking about. He's talking about, and then he's just everything. And I was like, man, so I felt as if I had gained an education worthy of Howard University, Howard stature from my travels, so much so that I could sit and listen to the master teacher give his presentation, and I wasn't intimidated by his level of knowledge. I was actually very comforted knowing that just as extensive as my travels have been and my search for truth, has been, when I came to sit and listen, sit at his feet, so to speak, with all of my experiences, he was able to put it into perspective for me because he's a master teacher. So I was really blown away. And I was very appreciative because I felt like, oh, he understands. He knows. Of course, this is from all of the years of study, but he was able to put all of these things into perspective for me so that my spirit, I felt very, very calm and relaxed. So, yeah, so I am appreciative of that. And so I wear the Howard University sweatshirt because I feel very, very close to, you know, very close to our experience, the African experience, because of my travels to Africa, to the Middle East, to South America, and to Europe. Okay, but it's expanded my mind and my understanding of the world so much so that I can now listen and talk to so many people and relate to them. Dr. Greg Carr is just one example, right? But it was an excellent example, and his example, um, you know, is the example that I need to express when I'm rocking the Howard jersey to say, hey, you know, I'm with it. I'm with Howard. So I guess that's it. I guess that's all I wanted to say. You know, there's so much into it. This is the green, the yellow, and the red. I was in Las Vegas a couple of years ago, and a young gentleman approached me. I was gambling. I was playing blackjack, and he asked me what was the significance. He said he was a white guy, and he asked me what's the significance of wearing a Howard University sweatshirt that is colored in that manner, red, yellow, and green, because he identified red, yellow, and green as being the Rastafarian colors. He said that's Jamaican, that's Rastafarian. What significance? What's the correlation between the two? And so I said to him, Howard University is the mecca of black HBCUs, arguably, right? It's certainly up there and holds its status, at least in my mind and in my heart. I wanted to go to Howard years ago. I tried to even though I didn't apply to attend Howard, I didn't think I had a chance to get in. I did try to transfer when I was in school after I had been accepted to another school in California, but because was in such great demand, I couldn't even transfer just for one semester as an exchange student. But anyway, um, he said that he knew the colors, and he said, "But what about Howard?" And I said, "Well, yeah, Howard's the mecca. It's high on that level. But then it also this is a call to Howard is located in D.C., which at one time was called Chocolate City. The number of blacks there. So there's black, like it's black on black on black, blackness, right? Black culture, black history, D.C. All right, and then for to call in the green, yellow, and red, which are the colors of a few African flags, in particular, the one that I am aware of, or that I go to, the Ethiopian flag. There's no, it's not a coincidence that these are the colors of the Ethiopian flag, and that Howard University is on the, uses these colors in the sweatshirt, because after all, there's a huge Ethiopian population in Washington, D.C. There's a correlation there. Perhaps these jerseys, these sweatshirts were created to say, hey, if you're Ethiopian and in D.C., you should wear the Howard University sweatshirt. Maybe that was a marketing ploy, but rather there's a deeper undercurrent that says if you are if you are in D.C., if you know and love Howard University for its history, its culture, then and you're black, then you should also know and love Ethiopian culture and history for what it represents. And so that's one of those undergirding principles. It's like if you know about Ethiopia and you know about their history, I think you'd be proud to wear a Howard University sweatshirt like this, because there's the Ethiopian history that this pays homage to. There's the African American history and the history of the HBCUs that this sweatshirt pays homage to. That's all baked in there. And then, um, right. So back to Las Vegas, and this dude who asked me, he's like, "So what's the significance? What's the correlation? Why are you wearing it, or what does it mean?" And I'm like, it's Ethiopia. It's Washington, D.C. It's Howard University. Ethiopians, there's a strong Ethiopian community in Washington, D.C. And this shirt represents that. And Ethiopia is important to all black people. This shirt represents that. It's Howard University. Howard University is important to all black people. This shirt represents that, this sweatshirt. And so the guy was like, he could dig it because he was a white guy, though he was white. I think he was a white British man and a European dude, but he lived and grew up in Jamaica. And he told me that his wife was Jamaican. So I was like, yeah. I said, kudos to you, man, for knowing the history. But what was interesting is he looked at me as an African American and he was puzzled by the fact that I knew my history, knew these ideas. He was like, because for him, he was saying, I remember him saying that, but that's Jamaican. Like, how do you know about Jamaica, you know? But it was a mutually respective encounter. And it was a big up, bless up, you know. Like, yeah, man, I know what's going on. I know what's up. He was like, okay, cool, very cool. And I was appreciative that he knew what was up too. And he asked me in a very polite manner, you know. So it was all good. That's my video for today. That's what I'm talking about. All right. So, thanks for listening
You're at 109 right now.
and watching. Peace.